take this Google Doc, like if you're at your computers, hopefully you can do this and open it up. If not, I'm going to show you all these things. You can just jot notes as you go as well and look at this later. It'll be sent in the email that goes out after this workshop to everybody who signed up. But this is not meant to be a lecture. It's more meant to be like getting you actually brainstorming and thinking about your practice so that you can make some changes starting today that are going to bring you more revenue. So I hope that it's helpful for you. I know it's going to be helpful to you because I'm giving you actually something that I learned at an event called Business Mastery from Tony Robbins. The tickets to the 6-day event are like $15,000. And this little action step in terms of thinking about your business with levers that you can control that will lead to more revenue has been really a game changer for me. And I wanted to bring it to all of you guys too, because SuperDoc Tech is really starting to appeal to direct primary care and direct specialty care practices that are primarily cash pay. And we have to think about things a little bit differently than practices that are in institutions or that take insurance. Because if you think about it, anybody who's paying us cash, we really have to exceed their expectations, right? Like if you're going with your insurance, then you're pretty much happy. Well, maybe you're not happy, but you're expecting to get what you get and not get upset. But when you're doing direct care or you're paying for the care that you're getting, you're making a conscious choice to invest in yourself and to get something that you really want. And so we really have to be thinking about this and just thinking about my own practice as a psychiatrist. And as you guys may know or may not know, Dr. Mona Sodi, my co-founder here at SuperDoc Tech, she's an obesity medicine specialist and branching out now into hormone therapy for women in menopause, right, Mona?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I'm child psych in Los Angeles doing primarily telehealth. So we have to think about these things as well. And I think as physicians, we often just do what we know, which is, oh, if I want to make more money, I just have to see more patients. And that certainly is one of the levers that we can use to control revenue, but there are two others. And I really want you guys to be thinking about how you can use these, not just today, but going forward. I hope this will be an exercise that you can do repeatedly, like every quarter or at least every year, and really see a lot of return on your investment of time right now in this hour. So I'm going to get started. Oh, hey, David. So let me move this over here. So okay. So how do you increase revenue in your practice? These are the three levers I was talking about. The first is you get more patients, right? We all know that. That's pretty obvious. But that one doesn't usually get us so excited, especially if we already have a practice that's pretty busy and doing well, because that just feels like more work and a heavier lift. So know that that's not the only way that you can bring more revenue to your practice. The second way is to increase your prices. Now, this may not feel great to you either, but we need to think about our practices as businesses. And especially for direct care, like I was saying, people are making a choice. We need to make sure that we're adjusting fees for the premium services that we're providing. And the third lever is selling more to existing patients, meaning increase the lifetime value of each patient who joins your practice. How can you do that? Well, you leverage your trust with them and your knowledge of them to be able to offer more things that they want from you. And almost all patients who are seeing someone that they are paying cash to, they really like you. They want to learn more from you. And we have knowledge that can help them. So anything where you're giving something that's making someone else's life better, and they're in return giving you something that's making your life and your practice better, it's win-win. And we should feel wholeheartedly good about that. We're not exploiting people. We're just giving them opportunities to make their lives and their health better. So let's dive into these kind of one by one. Most doctors miss this idea. And this is kind of the overarching idea that I want you to take away from today. When we think about these three levers, they're not just additive. So if you get 10% more leads and 10% more transaction value per patient and 10% more purchase frequency, like repeat purchases or additional purchases per patient, you might think, okay, that's 30% more revenue, but it's actually 33.1% more revenue per year because each of these adds on the other. So if you increase this one, then the value of each of these is actually not just 10% more, but 10.1% more, or more than that if they're purchasing more from you. Hopefully that makes sense. If you increase each of these by 20%, this is where it gets really interesting. Now you've increased the total growth in revenue of your practice year over year by 75%. So little tweaks in each of these levers can really result in a big difference in your bottom line. This one is what blew my mind. So if you get 33% more leads and you increase the transaction value by 25%, and you increase what they're buying from you by 50%, you increase your total revenue by 150%. So again, you're not going to walk away from this hour today with like all the ideas you could possibly have, but hopefully I'm planting seeds in your mind so that you can start thinking about, if you have an idea, which of these 3 buckets is it in, and how can you maximize the value of that to your practice? And if you're constantly coming back and thinking about, am I optimizing where my leads are coming from and making sure I don't miss any of them, and I'm acting quickly when people express interest in becoming my patient? Am I offering them premium services for the price that they deserve? Am I offering them opportunities to buy more products or more options or more offers from me to become my customer on like a sales newsletter or a paid subscription of some kind? Like, patients want to be doing these things, right? Are we giving them all the opportunities that we could and that they're looking for? And that over time is going to lead to more growth. So that's the big like message from today. So looking at the worksheet, you can't improve what you don't measure. So I want you to all think about, do you right now, and be honest with yourself, here's the worksheet. Do you know your numbers? Do you know where your new leads, new patients are coming from? Are you using things like Google Analytics on your website to know, where do people find you? When they're online, are they finding you from Google search? Are they finding you from social media? Are they finding you from ads you're running? For those of you on the call, if any of you want to put in the chat, like, do you know the answers are yes to both of these, or could you do better here? I'm guessing most people I know are not using things like Google Analytics on their websites. Are any of you using that right now?
Yes, we have a couple of people saying yes, and then
Awesome.
actually a couple of people saying no. I think Google Analytics is something foreign to a lot of people just starting out.
Yeah. So Google Analytics basically, if I could ask you all to mute yourself. Can you mute? Okay.
Yep.
Google Analytics doesn't tell you who can tell you where they have come from, and also which parts of your website they spend the most time on. So again, this is something that as practice owners, we need to be thinking about, because initially when you open up, you're going to get patients who already knew you. Maybe you're coming from training or coming from another practice. And then you'll get some referrals through word of mouth. And then you'll start needing to expose yourself in other ways, in more broad ways. And so once you get to that point that you're really trying to expose yourself to people who don't know you, you're going to have to do a little behind the scenes sleuthing to find out like what appeals to people. Where are they spending their time? Where are they clicking on my website? And then you can maximize that. And then you're needing to ask yourself too, like, am I regularly reaching out to my professional network? If you are a specialist, are you regularly reaching out to primary care doctors who might refer to you? For me as a psychiatrist, that includes therapists and psychologists in the area who might need psychiatry care for their patients, pediatricians, primary care practices. Then you want to make sure in this day and age that you have some kind of social media presence for your practice. Is there anyone on the call right now who doesn't have a social media presence? This could be LinkedIn, it could be YouTube, it could be Instagram, Facebook, it could be all of those or just one of those. But is there anyone who's kind of resisted that to this point in time? Hopefully not. Hopefully you all have some kind. Okay, good. So, but then how many of you feel like that is feels a bit heavy? Like, does it feel like pressure to maintain your social media presence? Like just another thing that you have to do? So one of the things that SuperDoc Tech does really well is it helps to ease the burden of this by making it easy to schedule your social media contacts and presence and posts, and also really easy to automate your responses to people who come to you via social media. And we can dive into that a little bit, but basically someone who comments on a post that you put on social media instantly becomes a contact within SuperDoc Tech. And then you can automate follow-up and automate like giving them access to a freebie or interacting with them. You can do that manually, or we actually have conversational AI tools that will do it in a way that you train them so that you don't have to be on Instagram at midnight responding to people. I don't really want to be doing that. I'm sure you don't want to be doing that either. But the idea would be to have kind of a top of the funnel for whatever your specialty is that's going to capture the most people and bring them in and then get the contact information so that you have their name, you have their email. Once you have that, then you can really nurture that person and continue to give them things until, if they're ready and when they're ready, they can come and become your patient. How many of you, I'm just curious, are doing not just medical care, but also some kind of educational or coaching work that perhaps doesn't require you to be using your medical license as kind of a supplement to your income and your direct care practice? Nice. Dr. Jen, David, awesome. So that's great. I think more and more of us are doing this, kind of this gray area of between, like, blurring the lines between being a specialist, right, and having a medical degree, and also wanting to use that in a way that makes us an influencer for good. There's plenty of people doing influencing online who are not really medical experts. I'm sure within your own specialties, you're familiar with these people. I'm sure your patients are coming to you saying, like, so-and-so on TikTok said this. I'm not saying y'all have to get on TikTok, but I do think that there's a lot of room to meet people where they're at on various social media platforms and provide them valuable education. And SuperDoc Tech's platform really allows you to do that as well, in terms of having challenges that go out to people via text messages or mini courses that people can access, or, you know, integrations with social media. You know, when you see people saying, we did this actually for this thing, like comment webinar, and then an automated bot sends you all the details so you can sign up. You can set that kind of thing up within SuperDoc Tech to bring people from the wide world into your orbit. So on your business side of things, how many of you have physical brick and mortar offices, practices? Can you tell me, Mona, because I don't have the chat open?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it open.
Yes, we have a yes, I think.
Here, I got it now. Okay, Tui got it. David.
Yep.
Shavana, I know Shavana does. Okay, so for all of you who have physical presences, I hope that you also have a Google business profile. The reason is that your Google business profile is the #1 driver of search engine optimization on Google and Chrome for your business, for your practice. And many people that I know really haven't optimized this. So you have to be sure of a couple things. You have to go into your Google business profile, certainly make one if you don't have one. Once you've made one, you want to make sure that all the details are correct, that the address, the name, the business name, the phone number, all of that stuff is accurate. And then the way that you really maximize this is by soliciting people to give you reviews. And again, this is something that as physicians, we are not trained to do. It doesn't feel natural to, at the end of a clinic visit where you're caring for someone's health, to be like, how was your service today? You know, I mean, every other business is doing that. You know, every time you call someplace, they're asking you, can you please rate me 1 to 5? And it's super annoying and I hate it. But here's the fact. It's free marketing for you to solicit this. Now, it's much better to not have to do it in person, face to face, right? I don't want you to be spending your precious clinic time asking people to rate you on Google. But what we've made at SuperDoc Tech is a whole automation that will send an email and a text message or whatever you choose to your patients after the visit. And it will ask them 3 times to review you. If they give you 4 or 5 stars, it then says, great, so happy you're happy, please review us on Google Business. You can set this up. Maybe you only want the 5-star people to go to Google Business. If they give you fewer than that, then your staff can be prompted to follow up with them, make it right. And then hopefully once they get them to the point of a 5-star happiness, satisfaction, then you can ask them to review you on Google. So by doing this, you will bring in so much more presence. And this is all without spending a dime on marketing. I know, Mona, you spent what, $4,000, $5,000 on a company last year that promised SEO and website design and all that stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And unfortunately, they didn't have a way of automating reviews, and they didn't tell me that automating your Google reviews is probably the #1 driver of SEO. And so now I'm backtracking, trying to increase my number of reviews. But the great thing is that platforms like SuperDoc Tech are able to completely automate that. And so you don't have to have that awkward ask at the end of your visit of, or, shoving a QR code in front of someone's face and saying, hey, please review me. I'm going to mute Carrie. So I think it's just important to have an automated system in place where it takes the pressure off of you as the clinician from making that ask, because a lot of us are introverts and we just don't want to have that conversation. So I think it's really important to just have that backup in place, that after a visit, they get asked a question of, how was your visit? Was it great? If so, go right to Google reviews. If not, then let's make it right. And then
Yeah.
eventually, hopefully they come around and they can leave a 5-star.
Yeah. And I think, again, this is something it just isn't something that we've been taught. It's not something that comes super naturally. And if you don't have the system and the tech to do it for you, how else are you going to do it? I mean, you're not personally going to call people and ask them to go on Google, and you're not going to ask your staff to do that. You're not going to send an email, probably one off to everybody. That's too much work. So, and then I know a lot of businesses have like a QR code at the checkout. I think that's amazing. Everybody should have that too. You can make that within SuperDoc Tech very easily. In fact, honestly, if any of you need that, just let me know. I can do it for you in like 5 seconds. I'm happy to give you a QR code that'll get people to your Google business profile. But all of this is something that we need to be thinking about as practice owners, because again, this is definitely a little tweak that won't take you much time at all, and it will lead to more people coming into your practice. Put in the chat if you know, like, what would you say is the worth to you of one new patient per month in your practice, if you had to put a dollar amount on it, both in terms of like the one visit, but also like kind of annual value. Do you guys know? I know every practice is a little bit different. Some are like DPC, people pay an annual fee. Some are like me, I do more like pay for service. So it depends on your hourly rate. But if you know what a patient's worth to you and you feel comfortable, just put it in the chat. Okay, awesome. So Shabana says $1,000 to $4,000. So I think you can easily see. And how many of you, like, when you're looking for a new pediatrician, a new restaurant, a new spa, whatever, like, use Google? I mean, I think we all do, right? And so we know that Google business profiles are very, very important. And I think especially for medical practices, I might use Yelp more for things like, where should I go get my hair done? But when it comes to a doctor, I'm going to be asking other people I know or searching on Google. Yeah. So Dr. How do you say your name? Tui Lalifwe. What a beautiful name. $2,000 on average. Awesome. Yeah. So you can see how this one lever, it's only one of 3, when you're optimizing it, can really lead to a lot more revenue in your practice, because truthfully, you're probably going to get more than one new patient a month if you optimize how you're looking on Google Business. All right, so shifting a little bit, I want you to now think about your patient's journey experience. So if I'm a new patient to your practice and I want to join you, how do I do it? Do I have to call a number? How often or how many hours of the week is that number staffed by a live person who's going to pick up in a couple of rings? Do I have to leave a voicemail? Do I have to send an email? Can I send a text message? Do you have a web chat widget on your website, or a contact page, or an automatic scheduling calendar? How do people get in to see you? How easy is it? Like, if you had to kind of objectively rate yourself 1 to 10, 10 being super easy, I can make an appointment 24/7 with this person at a time that works for me, and 1 being like, no one answers the phone. Where would you rate your practice right now? I have a way that people can, on my website, web chat and get access to my calendar for my meet and greet. I do 4 free 15-minute meet and greets a week. So 1 hour a week I work for free to meet new patients, and they can schedule that on their own time. When they call, they have a 24/7 AI receptionist that can also schedule into that calendar. They can email me or send a contact, and that gets checked every day by my virtual assistant. So I feel like mine's pretty good. Like, for new patients, I would rate myself like a 9, I think. All right, good job, guys. Thank you for interacting. All right, so then once patients get into your practice, are they giving you feedback? How are they reporting they're satisfied or not with rescheduling, with questions, with needing to get a message to you? Are they able to communicate their needs with you efficiently and effectively? Do you have a 24/7 system in place to answer their calls or capture inquiries? And are you confident that you're not missing any leads? This is the big question, right? So you guys already said a new patient is worth thousands of dollars to most of you. And if you have holes in your bucket, if you have people who are reaching out in a moment of ready to take action, right? They have a pain point. They're looking, they're searching, they found you, they're excited, and then they reach a dead end. You're probably missing that lead, right? So do you have a system in place where you are capturing people and letting them feel like, I've got your back, I'm going to get back to you? And are you doing that? And are you sure that you're doing that? So one of the things I think is most valuable about SuperDoc Tech is it's one inbox. So no matter where someone is messaging you, you see it and your staff sees it. And then it becomes very easy to track with real clear numbers, like of all the people who've reached out to you in the last week, how many of them did you follow up with within 24 hours, within 48 hours? How many of them did you fail to follow up with? You can measure this and your staff can measure this, and it makes it much easier for them to feel like they are contributing to the practice. So if you have a front desk employee that you're paying to do this, to follow up with people and schedule them and be your front-facing person, you can give them a metric to know, like, yes, I'm succeeding at this, rather than feeling like, oh, I have to check the voicemail every day, and then I got to check the email, and then I got to remember to log on to Instagram and log on to socials and see if anybody sent a message on LinkedIn. That's a lot of inputs for any one person to do. It's a lot of balls in the air that they're juggling. Make their job easier, and you will see so much reward to the bottom line in your practice. And it also will make them know that they are contributing. Then it gives you a real tangible thing on which you can base bonuses and rewards and praise, because you can say, like, look, we went from this to this. And right now you may not even know, if you're not tracking this, if you don't have one inbox, you really don't know where the holes are in your bucket. And so one of the most valuable things about SuperDoc Tech's software is that it helps you to really see that and be able to quantify it. Okay. So we already did this. You guys answered like the revenue awareness. How much is a new patient worth to you? And then I have this question here, like, because again, I went from a voicemail system where people would leave a voicemail, then it was on me before I had an assistant to answer those calls. So they were only getting live call coverage. Actually, they were getting 0 answers. I basically had just a voicemail system, not great, right? And if you think about your own experience when you call a business and you leave a voicemail, how satisfied do you feel versus, I don't know if you've interacted with like not just a robotic, you know, when you call Chase Bank or something, and then they have this like press 1 to speak with this, and it's very robotic. But have any of you had experience interacting with one of the more modern like AI receptionist type voice AIs? It's much more conversational. And when people are surveyed, you might think that people wouldn't like this, but 80% of people say they would prefer to have that kind of conversation with an AI receptionist versus leaving a voicemail. And the reason is because you really do feel like it's a give and take. And the AI receptionists are pretty amazing. We were testing this in a prior webinar, and someone called my office and he said, like, I'm a child psychiatrist. And so he's like, oh, my toe hurts. And the AI receptionist is like, I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like you have a physical problem. Dr. Caudill is a child mental health specialist. I suggest that you seek medical attention. So again, it shows empathy, but it also knows what you can handle and what you can't handle. And it like politely directs people to other solutions for their problems. But it also can like, you know, really help you with making sure that people are getting their needs met. And that whole conversation gets recorded. So as you're training your AI receptionist, you can see what's happening. And if anything's happening that isn't ideal, you can reprogram it. You can tell it what to do next time. And your staff also can see all those messages, listen to the messages, call people back. So if someone leaves a message about needing a refill, whatever, you can have different AI receptionists that do different things. They can speak to people in different languages. I mean, it's incredibly, incredibly valuable. And think about what you pay. If you're, how many of you are currently paying some staff person to answer phones for you or do scheduling? I'm guessing most of you. Not many people are going to be just solo, but some psychiatrists might be. Anybody? Okay, Sharon Batista says, I think it's overpaying. Yeah, I mean, any staff, right? Even like a minimum wage staff, by the time you factor in as a business owner, all the other things, you know, their health insurance, workers' comp, the taxes, like it becomes very expensive. And then inevitably, when I talk to practice owners, it's a huge headache often because this person isn't doing exactly what you want. At the same time, you feel like you can't fire them because how would you function without someone in that role? So I'm not saying that SuperDoc Tech's AI receptionist is meant to completely replace human beings helping you in your practice. But what I think it does very, very well is it reduces their burden, because again, their job is not easy. And I think oftentimes we tend to focus on what's not being done the way we want and getting upset about it. But I wouldn't want to be a front desk person in a busy medical office. I mean, you've got patients coming in, they're mad because you're running behind, which just is part of medicine. Like, it happens. They're having to answer the phones and juggle so many things. It's a high pressure job. And so if you can make that person's life easier by knowing that if they have someone in front of them that requires their full attention in the office, they can take care of just that and know that even if the phone's ringing, it's going to go to the AI receptionist who's going to have a conversation. They'll be able to listen to that full message, follow up with the person afterwards. And even if you're paying someone full time, 40 hours a week to answer the phones, there are 168 hours in a week. And how many of you have ever tried to, well, we're all busy, right? So sometimes it's 7 p.m. when you think, oh, shoot, I forgot to reschedule my kid's orthodontist appointment. You would like to be able to do that, but you can't because the office is closed. How great would it be if you had 168 hours a week, that's every hour in the day, every day, available for people to reschedule, request a refill, do all of these things, and get a reassuring answer from someone that sounds very human, telling them that their message has been handled. And after that phone call happens, you can automate things. Like, you can have them send a text message, just reassuring them that your message has been received. You can send an email. You can send those messages to specific staff people. So again, you can have different receptionists doing different things. If you have someone who just handles your prior authorization requests or your refill requests, those messages can be directed to that person. If you have somebody else who handles your calendaring, those messages can go to that person. It's really pretty amazing. And when you consider the price of SuperDoc Tech at $4.99 a month, it's just a no-brainer to how much it's going to save you in supplementing the staff that you already have and making their functionality much more efficient and better. Okay, so moving on to the second lever. Anybody have questions about the first part? I got to go faster here. Hey, Shavana. Awesome. So the second lever is increasing the money that you get from each person who joins your practice. In a business speak, this is like increasing the value of each customer, right? So how can you do that? Well, you can raise the price of, I don't know, if you're selling mugs, instead of selling this mug for $9.95, I can raise the price to $11.95. And look, there you go. I just increased my revenue 30%. Within our practices, I think one thing we do not do well is regularly increasing our rates. How many of you, well, here, answer this. When was the last time you raised your fees for your hourly rate or your membership rate or whatever it is? The AI receptionist is part of it. You pay, if you use a lot of minutes, you get $25 credit per month for the AI receptionist, which will go a long way, especially for a small practice. Probably will cover all the costs, but if you have a very busy practice, there's a small fee per minute, and I can get you all that information, Shavana. Yeah, it is very cool. So what's the last time you raised your fees, all of you? Have you done it in the last year? Yes or no? Meaning you blast every one of your patients saying, it's time for our annual rate increase. Just so you know, we want to keep offering you excellent service, and this is what we need to do. This is the little snippet that I gave you to continue providing you with the highest quality care. We're updating our fee schedule effective blank date. This small change ensures we can maintain the level of service and attention you deserve. That's all you need to say. We have all seen these kinds of messages from businesses. You go to a restaurant, you see like 16% charge, they can pay the health insurance of their employees. Everybody is used to that. Okay, Twee says no. So yeah, most of us don't do this. And then, especially in my world as a psychiatrist, there's this very complicated thinking that it's uncomfortable to raise the rates for your current patients, your past patients. So many people will end up with like multiple rate tiers. Maybe every 5 years they increase their rates, but they keep the old people grandfathered in. And that's just not a successful way to run a business. So if you haven't done it, it's time to do it. And then once you do it, you may lose a patient here or there, but in the long run, as long as people are expecting this, like if January 1st every year, or maybe you do it July 1st every year, because that's coming up, you raise your rates, and then you want to be increasing 3 to 5% per year, right? Because that's just cost of living. That's just how things increase. That's inflation. So I think you need to do a catch-up adjustment. If it's been a few years, you might want to increase your rates a little bit more, like 7 to 10%, maybe even a little more. But again, do what feels right for you. Excuse me. And then make a plan that annually you're going to send this email or this letter to all of your patients, and you're going to update everybody's fees. That is going to move this lever immensely. The second thing is credit cards. So how many of you are using credit cards? How many of you are eating the fees for those credit cards? That means you are paying for your patients to get points on their credit cards to take their vacations or whatever. That's really not part of your deal, right? And so many businesses, when you go to that and they're like, if you pay cash or check, you get this rate. If you pay credit card, it's 3% more. Yeah, that's how it should be, right? The patient should be paying to have the convenience of using a credit card. And so you should add on that fee. There you go. That's another 3% of moving that lever for you. All right, so finally, part 3, this is the fun part. You can offer more to your existing patients. And this is where I think many practices don't really have an organized way to do this. How many of you can very easily today, if you want to, shoot out a message to every patient who's ever seen you saying, hey, I've got this new service I'm offering. Would you like to schedule an appointment or would you like to buy it? I'm guessing probably most of you couldn't do that very easily. If you had SuperDoc Tech, you would be able to do that in literally like 2 minutes. Just click, 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 and send a message to everybody who's ever been your patient. And that is incredibly valuable. So especially if you've been in practice for a few years, if you have a list of all the patients who've ever seen you in an Excel spreadsheet, you can import that in minutes to SuperDoc Tech. You can add a tag for the import, and then you can basically say, send a message to all of these people and tell them that I'm now offering a course on whatever. So maybe you're a pediatrician and you're going to start offering a pre-recorded course on breastfeeding to new moms, or a pre-recorded course on potty training, or a pre-recorded course on setting screen time limits effectively on your kids. You can just blast everybody and let them know that this is available. And if 1% of your patients bought your product, well, here, let's do this first. So I want you to brainstorm 3 ideas: digital products, events in person or like this, like a virtual event, subscriptions. Maybe people are going to subscribe to a newsletter or a blog, or maybe they're going to subscribe to a monthly meet and greet webinar, something where you have different specialty guests on to talk to you. Maybe it's a paid podcast. You know, there's people who do that too. But brainstorm 3 ideas of things that you could do that would be fun for you and valuable for your patients. And go ahead, feel like you can put that in the chat too if you have a cool idea. If you don't want to share it, that's fine too. But for me, I'm going to say, I'm going to do this with you guys. I actually have been thinking about having like a high ticket 1-year course for parents who have a child who's in their senior year of high school with, tell me how you like this idea. It's like these things come to me early in the morning. So I was thinking like launch a friend for life, because, you know, in that annual final year, what I see often as a child psychiatrist is parents kind of clinging to their kids more because they feel the anxiety of like, I haven't imparted all the knowledge I had on my child and they're about to go out in the world. And what if they fail? That would mean I totally messed up, right? So there's all this tension. And often that gets in the way of being able to stand back, be proud of the child you've raised, let them know you believe in them and that they can go on their way. And so I think that that would be good. All right, Mona, you have one-on-one metabolic health journey courses for those on GLP-1. That would be huge. There's so many people on that now who need more guidance, and a monthly Q&A with an obesity doc. Awesome. So I do monthly office hours as the parent doctor. That's basically just a free, not free, it's very low ticket, $29 a month. Anyone can come in. I talk about a different topic and then people can pick my brain for the remaining like 30, 40 minutes. So it's not medical care, but as a child psychiatrist, there's plenty of parents who really care about their kids, who kind of want the advice of a specialist and an expert like me. And so maybe you want to do the same thing, just open yourself up to more people. So Mona, you're a great example. Like there's so many millions of people now on GLP-1 drugs. And certainly you can get a lot of information watching reels on TikTok, but you might also really want to talk to a real doctor and get your questions answered. And that would be super valuable to people to be able to hop into a call like that. I know people who do this as like kind of one-offs where they'll send their whole email list, like we're doing a special, I don't know, I don't want to call it lecture. You can call it whatever you want. They call it coaching couch, but essentially it's like a meeting, right? And this month's topic is this. And then people buy a ticket to that event. So there you go. That's like, you could make more revenue. So ask yourself, would this be a low ticket event? Would it be a high ticket event? Generally pricing definitely under $100 is low ticket, but generally under $500 is considered low ticket. People want more and more like things that they can consume in short little bursts. So whether it's like a mini video or a text message series or an email series with videos attached. That gets people more, and asynchronous learning is better in 2025 versus what I thought I was going to be doing was like long courses that people would pay me thousands of dollars for. The reality is, and I think we can all relate to this, like even when we have the intention of watching that long course, we don't follow through. Something like 90% of people who buy a course never do it. It's like they never complete the course. So give things that people can actually digest, and give things that are really valuable. So I think that the two extremes are very valuable, like the really low ticket, quick to consume thing. Lots of people are going to buy that. And then few people are going to buy a very high touch, high ticket offer. But like I was discussing, even if I have 5 families that want to work with me in the Launch a Friend for Life program, I can probably charge thousands of dollars for that program. And we have a monthly meeting together. And I think people would think it's very valuable. So I want you to brainstorm 3 things, decide what the price point might be, and then ask yourself, like, if 1% of my patients bought this, how much money would that be? If 10% of my patients bought this, how much would that be? And if 40% of my patients bought this, how much money would that be? All right. So again, like if you don't have a list of all your past and present patients that you can easily make these announcements to, then you are missing out on revenue for your practice. And knowing now what that could be worth, how does the $4.99 a month price tag of SuperDoc Tech sound? I'm guessing it probably sounds pretty good because again, this is just one part of the value that it would bring to your practice. And then are you regularly communicating with your patients about things other than appointments and billing? If not, then you're also missing an opportunity, because think about relationships and what we know of relationships. Again, I'm a psychiatrist, so there's this very famous psychology couple named the Gottmans. They've done tons of research showing that good relationships have a ratio of 5 positive interactions to 1 criticism or negative interaction. I'm not saying an appointment reminder is a negative interaction, but certainly like your bill is overdue is a negative interaction. And so we want to make sure that we're giving our patients like 5, thank you for being a patient. I love you. I hope you love me kind of messages, not desperate, but like genuine, caring outreach. Like you want people to feel like they're part of something. You want to be selling that, like they want to be going and telling everybody, Dr. So-and-so is my doctor, that they are like in your world. And that's a feeling that you want to have. I mean, think about that. I don't really have that with my primary care doctor. I wish I had that. But I think we all want to feel like we are so-and-so's patient and that that's a valuable relationship and it feels special to us. How do you get that? You get that by contacting this person and bringing, and not just the happy birthday reminder. Good point, Mona. Yeah, on my birthday, I hate my birthday. Well, I don't hate my birthday, but you get a message from like every online business you've ever purchased things from. You're like, thanks, Staples. I really needed to hear that. You're so happy it's my birthday. But yeah, I'm not just talking about birthday reminders or generic like holiday reminders. I mean, just genuine things like as a child psychiatrist, sending a message to people like, it's the end of the school year. I'm feeling kind of stressed knowing that my kids are going to be home. Are you feeling that way too? I'm here for you kind of thing, right? Or whatever that would be in your practice. For you, Mona, it's probably like around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's harder to maintain your diet. And so like sending encouraging words to people would be very valuable. All right. That's about it. So what I would like you to do, we're about done now, is just like pick one action from each of these sections. So if you remember, section 1 was bringing in more patients. Like, how do you think you could do a better job bringing in more patients? What's the one action you're going to do? Maybe you're going to install Google Analytics on your website. I'm not teaching how to do that today, but if you join SuperDoc Tech, there's a video about that. Are you going to reach out to your professional network and just remind them? This is something you should be doing regularly. With SuperDoc Tech, I have an email that goes out every month to almost 200 people in my professional network, just letting them know and keeping me top of mind for them. Do you have a social media presence? Are you going to schedule some social media content? Any of these things could really move the needle to bring in more patients. Then number 2, raising your fees. So if you haven't raised your fees recently, draft that email or that letter and send it out. And that's going to be a huge, boon to the bottom line for your practice this year. And then part 3 is offer more. So anything, we just went to see Karate Kid Legends last night. There's a scene where Jackie Chan says, anything you can do that helps other people and makes your life better is something you should do. Like if you're deciding, should I do this or should I not do this? He's talking to Ralph Macchio about whether he should come from California to help his trainee in New York. So I was like, oh, I got to remember that for tomorrow's webinar. That's good. Because anything that you can think of that would be bringing valuable information. We forget that we have so much valuable information and training as physicians, and our patients want to hear this from us. They don't want to hear it from some random person on TikTok or from the news. They want to hear it from someone they know and care about and who knows and cares about them. So what can you deliver for people? What can you bring them that wouldn't feel overwhelming for you, but would feel exciting for you, that would give you more energy and make you feel like you're doing more of what's aligned for you? So think about what that could be, and then think about how you would price it, and think about how you're going to offer it to your patients. All right, so that's it. Just to kind of, again, help you keep this in mind, if you just see a 10% increase in new leads, 10% increase in average price per sale, and 3% of that might be recouping credit card fees, that's easy. That leads to a 33.1% year-over-year growth for your practice. So that's pretty huge, right? 20% increase in new leads with a 20% increase in average sale and a 20% increase in how much each customer buys or resales or repurchases leads to 75% year-over-year revenue growth. And if you really go all out and you're aggressive and you do a 33% increase in new leads, 25% increase in price per person, and a 50% increase in the things and offers that you give people, that could be 150% year-over-year growth. Maybe you're not doing any of this yet. That's low-hanging fruit in that case. If you're not offering anything other than your basic clinical services, you have a lot of money on the table that you could be bringing into your practice, and a lot of happier customers because you're offering them more. So for all of you who joined us here today, go to superdoctech.com/pricing if you're interested in joining us. We're still recruiting our first founding members, and all of the people who have joined us are amazing people. But we would love to meet with you. If you use the coupon code REVENUE now through next week, 5 p.m. on June 15th, you'll get 25% off your first month. We are priced at $4.99 a month. It's a contract month to month. You can cancel at any time. If you come on board and you do your onboarding and you spend your first month with us participating and you're like, you know what, this isn't for me, we will give you a refund, 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked.